Agile, safe, waterfall, PMP, lean. We've been inventing strategies for making project management easy.
Doesn't matter what method you choose, none of them work without strong relationships between the team. I'm Lizzie Berkovitz, a project manager, and it's my role to work with the engineers, the functional people, and the client to drive a project forward.
And I'm Elise Walker. I lead this army of engineers to do the real work.
So, when Elise and I got started, together with our client, we developed a beautiful roadmap. However, as you know, things often go off the rails. So today, we're going to tell you how we survived that.
So, Lizzie, surprise, by the way, I just heard that we have a demo with the CMO tomorrow. What do they care about?
Oftentimes, non-technical people want to see our product. Our product is really awesome, but very technical and very complex. Sometimes the command line interface just lacks sex appeal. It's my role to work with the stakeholders to figure out what they're passionate about so that I can then go back, work with the engineering team, and craft a compelling demo narrative to really speak to that stakeholder.
And I focus on the demo prep efforts while trying to reduce the impact to our actual schedule. We together craft impact statements to show what the product does and why that's important to that specific individual.
So Elise, the client wants to accelerate the schedule by a lot. Can you help me figure out which features we can cut and what we should prioritize?
I hate when this happens.
Me too.
We know, right? It means that I'm going to live in a conference room for the next 2 days. And usually during that time, we're spending all of our efforts identifying what we can cut, what the collateral is going to be, documenting the risks. But most importantly, it's my job to stay emotionally neutral. Because if I get upset about it, my team gets upset about it.
And it's my role to work with both the engineering team and the customer to determine the technical debt and work to see when we might be able to build this back into the project.
So we had this timeline that we were going to make, and we're not going to make it. That feature is going to take the whole sprint.
I promised the client that feature would take 1 day of one sprint of one engineer's time. Please help me understand more.
So unfortunately, and fortunately, we push best practices, and that's why a lot of our customers come to us. This also means that we're working with new technologies, and oftentimes, when you're using new technology, things that are supposed to work just don't work. So it's my job to explain in plain English why this happened and why it's a good thing that this happened now instead of later.
And throughout this all, I maintain communication. One of the most important lessons I've learned here is to always keep an open relationship and build trust with all teams involved. That way, when fire drills happen, because they happen, it makes these tough conversations a little bit easier.
And it's both of our jobs to make sure that we plan accordingly so that our research efforts are decoupled from our implementation timeline so this doesn't happen.
So Elise, our client has recently told me he'd be interested in switching to the programming language Golang. It has its benefits, but I know none of our engineers are that familiar with it. Can we talk through some of the implications?
So sometimes this can also be frustrating, especially when your business is driving your technical requirements. I often suspect that this is being driven by a really good marketing person. When this happens, we go through the dinner menu approach. So A, we can refactor everything, and we have n number of risks, we have n number of integration points. Or B, we can pick a simple feature, try out the new technology. If it works, great. We're under less risk when we refactor later.
And again, if you're sensing a theme, it's my role to work with everyone to communicate, figure out the why, and work on schedule moving forward. If you can see, Elise and I have been through the trenches together. Here, a quick summary of some of our tips to move a project forward.
So as functional staff, have compassion for how your engineers work. That means, for example, don't scattershot meetings throughout the day, because that eliminates flow time, and that's the only time engineering work gets done.
As functional leadership, it's important to maintain a cool head and a wide perspective. Be the heartbeat of the team. keep the engineers and the client on the same page, happy and as de-stressed as possible.
And as technical leadership, it's all of your jobs to bridge that gap between the business and the tech, because that trust goes a long way when it comes to implementing those cool technical features that you want to do.
And we couldn't do this without each other. So thanks for coming, and we'll be around after if you'd like to talk.
All right, that ends our Ignites for today. Give it one other big round for all of our Ignite speakers.